Alright guys, we got another video for you. This is another Wii knife, and this is the 817B Stixx bronze titanium handle with inlay of carbon fiber and Bowler M390. So this is a higher end Wii, for sure. Same typical packaging you're getting from Wii in a white box with a nice pouch that I really like. I wish ZT would do this. A little information about Wii, a little clean cloth. I mean, all the things they give you is awesome. Alright, so this is the Stixx. This is a model I wasn't terribly familiar with, but it was part of the pass around, and I really wanted to check the Aquila out, so I was like, you know, let's take a look at the Stixx, because Wii's higher end stuff is always appealing to me. It is always, I shouldn't say always, but most of the time is appealing to me. And in this case, the aesthetics of the knife, just looking at pictures and such, I thought, you know what, that's a pretty good looking knife. But it's one of those things where you look at pictures of knives. It's the same kind of thing I said about the Aquila, that at first I wasn't interested based on the stats of the knife, and then but I liked the aesthetics, so I got it in hand, and it changed my mind, right? This one is designed by Mikkel Williamson, and honestly not the biggest fan of Mikkel Williamson designs. Just, they don't usually speak to me. So take this video for a grain of salt, because this is another one of those designs that for me, there's just some flaws. That they're not anything against Wii. The manufacturing is fantastic. The execution is really good. Fit and finish, everything is perfect. Well, perfect's a hard thing to say, but it's very, very good. Near perfect. But there's some things about the design that I don't love. So take that as a grain of salt. You know, I'm just going to get that all the way up front. So let's go into the basic specs before we go into my thoughts of this guy. So we've got an overall length of 8 inches, blade length of 3.45, cutting edge of 3.1 due to this huge, it's a huge finger 12 there. Blade thickness is 0.16, a little thicker than that Aquila. M390 steel, which is, you know, pretty much as good as it gets. They're running that at 59 to 61 hardness. Drop point blade with a flat grind, satin finish with a handle length of 4.55. Handle width is 1.25. That's this measurement here, closed. And the thickness is 0.7, so it's pretty thick. And you do have carbon fiber and titanium, and it weighs 4.66 ounces. So it's kind of a bit of a tank of a knife, which is kind of typical for a Williamson design. So those are your basic specs. Now, it's definitely a Williamson design, like I said. So it's meant to look like this. It's his design language. It's his how he likes to design his knife. Some people really like him. Never been my favorite. Not, you know, no dig against him, just, you know, my opinion. Not everyone's going to love what everyone does, but the execution of the design is very well done, as you would expect from Wii. You do have a nice titanium bolster lock, frame lock. Probably would just call it a frame lock, because the frame does go all the way down here. Beautifully done carbon fiber inserts on this. Gigantic, huge screw here in the back, which I don't know what the aesthetics are on that. Nicely, like a very cool stonewash on the bronze. I love that. I love the finish on this knife. The finish is incredible. It's awesome. The centering's nice and good. It does have a blade hole opening as well as a flipper. You can execute that with your middle finger flick. I find that the thumb hole you have to slow open because there's this ledge right here, we'll call it, that gets in your way. There's no way you're deploying that with. You'd have to like get really creative. So it's going to be a slow roll there. And then the flipper tab is interesting. It's really high up. It does have some good jimping on there, so it does flip well. But one of the biggest mistakes that I think I've seen on a lot of designers is they put this flipper tab up here, and then they put this awful sharp. I mean, it's not terribly bad at first, but when you flip the knife and you drag your finger across that, you're like, what? Why is it so sharp? You know? And here's the weird thing about the jimping. This is kind of being a random video, thought-wise, but the jimping should be on the blade up here. Back here, it's like you're putting your thumb and hand way back here on the knife. And so the handle feels very cramped. And it's not a huge handle. It's 4.5 inches, right? But because of this, the way the handle is designed, it kind of forces your hand back, and then you don't have a great grip on the knife, I don't feel, because of where the jimping is, right? If you would have just got rid of the jimping here, put it on the blade, then you could have choked up with your thumb right here, and then it would feel really good. And that grip feels way better to me. But this is just, yeah, that doesn't do it for me. And plus, like I said, when you flip it, it kind of... So it's not the worst jimping at all. It's not like the Butcher from ADV or Andre DeVille or whatever. That thing, like, destroys your fingers. But it's just in a weird spot, and it doesn't really function very well. And I guess if you're putting your thumb right here and using a knife like this, but again, you're just choking back so far that you're like almost losing that fourth finger. If you have big hands, this knife is a no-go for sure. It's barely doable for me with medium-sized hands. Now, if you do choke up on this choil, which is a strange choil, it's like a squared-off choil instead of a rounded choil, you're okay, right? You know, you've got a good finger indentation here, and it's comfortable. But again, there's just that lack of jimping here to kind of give you a little bit of control on the blade, which, you know, some people don't care about that. But the handle is just a weird design to me. It just doesn't work well for my hands and for what I like. The pocket clip is small. It's teeny compared to a lot of Wii's. I mean, I think that's definitely... This is the standard Wii clip. This is obviously proprietary to this knife. Oh man, I hope I don't make a big old ruckus getting these out. I don't know how these got all like... There we go. Try not to bump the camera frame. I wanted to show you how it carried in the pocket. Forgot to do that in the Wii, or the Gila, but it carries awesome. So the pocket clip works well. It's pretty deep, actually, which I like, and it's pretty small, and it goes on your pants really easily. So the pocket clip is well executed on this knife. I really do like that part of the knife, because it doesn't create hot spots. It works. It functions well. So that is one thing that I do like. And again, I like the aesthetics for the most part. I don't like this huge, gigantic screw back here in the back. I don't see what the point is to that, but again, part of the design. And I do love the finish that we did and the carbon fiber and everything. I think it's really good looking. But I think it's just the overall like sharp angles of the handle, but that's again just kind of pretty typical to a Williamson design. So it does flip well. It has a great detent. And again, Wii is definitely got that action going with the middle finger flick and the flipper. So that's pretty hard to dial that in perfectly where it can flip really well and do that. A lot of times, like I mentioned in my last video, that you get that flipper too strong. It flips awesome, but there's no way you're opening that with the middle finger or the thumb. And again, the thumb is not going to be thumb. It's going to have to be slow roll just because of the handle design. So it's a well executed design by Wii. And the manufacturer, I mean, everything about it is smooth and nice. And you know, the price point is probably right where it needs to be. I mean, it's $253. I mean, you get M390 and titanium carbon fiber. That's pretty good. You know, it's right there kind of where ZT is with the 220 to 240 range for their knives with 20 CV, which is equivalent. Typically, when you're getting nice carbon fiber and stuff like this, that is going to jack the price up a little bit. So I would say it's where it needs to be. The Wii is like super... They love hiding the blade steel, and this is teeny. You would barely even see that, and it says M390 right there. It's kind of cool though, but there is a lot of banners on the... There's the Williamson design banner on the other side, so it's not like it's a sterile blade. And there is a slight recurve to the blade, which I don't know, I don't find necessary. So that overall, just the design is not something that really speaks to me, but it is well put together and well done by Wii knives. So take that for a grain of salt. You might love this design, and you might love Williamson designs, and that might be good for you. Again, here's a size in the hand with medium-sized hand gloves, and I barely get that fourth finger because the way that this makes you kind of choke back with all this going on up here. Let's do the size comparisons real quick. Got the Paramilitary 2 handy. That's a really common knife, so it's definitely smaller than that. And we'll do the Aguila for sure. So I think that's going to wrap up my thoughts on this knife, guys. Definitely not my favorite Wii knife that I've had in. It is well done and well executed, just not a big fan of the overall design of the knife, I think. So take that for a grain of salt. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you on the next one.